Hello, welcome to Planet Smasher Games. It's been 4 weeks since I quit my job. Let's find out how it's gone. Stick around and I'll fill you in. Hello and welcome to Planet Smasher HQ. This is the 6th of these Dev Diary videos and the second retrospective. I want to take a look at the last couple of weeks, tell you what I've been up to, see if any of it mattered, tell you what games I've played, and maybe give you some hints on what I imagine I might be working on over the next couple of weeks. Okay, so what were my goals for the last couple of weeks? Well, my goals were to finish the outstanding games design on Pacific Command. I did make some progress against that goal, as I'll go into, but I failed against it. It's not finished. That'll have to be something that I continue to work on. My second goal was to grow the YouTube channel by another 50 subscribers. I got 40, so that's a near miss. Hit that subscribe button, yo, if you want to catch more about what I'm doing and follow along with the development of the games that you already know about and exciting new games that I've yet to even imagine. Hit that subscribe button. I also had a goal to grow the Patreon by another 5 supporters, and by golly, by gosh, I got 13. Thank you so much. Thank you, people. Okay, so what did I do over the last couple of weeks? Well, I mentioned Pacific Command. Glenn and I got together and had a morning of playtesting the scenarios, the historical scenarios for that game, and then exploring the arcade mode scenario generator. It was a fun playtesting session because we didn't actually play the game. What we did was we set up each of the games and then we discussed kind of how we would approach that game, whether the victory points or the victory conditions made sense, whether the setup made sense. And it was really interesting because some of the scenarios definitely need work and I've got more work to do on them. But one thing that was really fun was working with these historical scenarios. I found that I was able to spool history backwards and forwards, looking for the most interesting moment from a game perspective. So, for example, in one of the scenarios where kind of the action historically really began after the Americans captured a particular location, I can rewind or fast forward history and say, well, would it be more interesting to see what happens as a result of that action and how the Japanese respond? Or is it more interesting to rewind the what if machine a little bit further back and say, okay, what if the Japanese hadn't been surprised yet? What if we played out before that? So anyway, it's been an interesting experiment in both playtesting in an efficient way where you don't play the game, you just set up to play the game. And we got through like 12 sort of scenario setups in order to explore various different options and move things around. And we kind of knew how the game worked, so we didn't have to play out the whole thing. I have been working on a new game that I haven't told anyone about yet. The working title for this game is Junk Space, and I suspect I'll be talking more about Junk Space a fair bit in the coming months. Junk Space is, well, the fastest way to talk about it is to say it's sort of Gaslands in space, which when I sat down to write A Billion Suns, I was aware that there would be a number of people who were kind of expecting my next game to be Gaslands in space, and belligerent as I am, I decided I would go in a very different direction and make sure I didn't get typecast as the Gaslands guy. Also, Gaslands in Space is X-Wing the miniatures game, and Gaslands was still kind of, it was fairly fresh in my mind that maybe I didn't want to get too close to X-Wing. But a bunch of reasons and stuff has come together in my brain, and Junk Space is something I've been working on for a while in my notebook. And so I finally got a bunch of playtesting, solo playtesting kind of dev games done over the last week, and I started writing up the rulebook for that. So I've been working on Junk Space. Hazard Check, you will have seen a video, which if I remember to do so, I will link to here. I kind of invented that, prototyped it out, and made a video for it. I also worked on another game that I've mentioned once before on this channel called Incunabula, and the Incunabula is a sort of wild and wacky sci-fi / fantasy skirmish system that I'm working on. I found some inspiration on the resolution mechanic and the sort of story generating mission system that I'm working up. So I worked a little bit on that. I will probably make, well, we've got a playtest coming up, maybe even tonight, for Incunabula. So if there's more to share on that game, I will share soon. I've been painting a Hobgoblin army. I want to be starting to make some more Hobgoblin battle reports, or some Hobgoblin battle reports for this channel, particularly around the launch of the hardback book when it becomes available. So to do that, I have to have some armies painted up, and I have an army and a half already finished for small demo table stuff at conventions, but I want to do a couple of proper sized armies and then maybe 3 or 4 proper sized armies. So I am painting up an army and I'm filming it. I might make a piece of content out of that. We shall see if it's any good. What else did I do? I spoke to some people. I talked to Sean Sutter, my mate Sean at Relic Blade. It's always great talking to Sean because he's such an font of imagination, and he always gets my imagination firing when we started talking. So we were chatting about junk space actually, and talking about what might be fun with spaceships. I also spoke to Diecast Breakdown, who are a wonderful diecast converting channel, and they wanted to talk about Gaslands, and I wanted to talk about Gaslands, so we talked about Gaslands. So what did I actually produce over the last couple of weeks? Well, I released an update to Rotvolden. I hope to release another version of Rotvolden fairly soon. I worked on the somewhat secret textbook project that Glenn and I are working on. I finished 3 chapters of that, did the hazard check video, I did the last retrospective video, and I wanted to release another game to itch just to keep my catalogue growing. I didn't get hazard check into a place that I was happy with that, but I did have a prototype kicking around from a couple of months ago, which is a non-combat game called The Floor is Lava at the moment, where you essentially use Jenga blocks with special icons that you've sharpied on to dynamically create an obstacle course in a sort of semi-co-op competition to race across a blank lava-y table. It's quite a funny little game, and it's quite, I think it's got some potential, but I don't know if it's a Planet Smasher game, if you see what I mean. So anyway, I've put that up on itch for now, and I'm going to create a video demonstrating it in a few weeks, at which point I'll offer a Patreon link to download it for free. All right, a quick list of games played. As I said, I played a bunch of games of Junk Space, probably 4 games of Junk Space. I played a couple of games of Hazard Check. You will have seen one of them if you're watching along. And then I played 2 more games of Middle-earth strategy battle game. We played 2 of the spider-based scenarios from the Armies of Hobbit book, because we've been playing, our first couple of learning games had been with the competitive scenarios in the main rulebook, and it left us kind of a little bit cold, so we thought we would start looking at the narrative scenarios, and I've got a shed full of fantasy miniatures here, so he's building up a Thandriel sort of LV warband, and I had a bunch of spiders from a goblin army that I'm working on for Hobgoblin. So yeah, so that's what we did, and it was very fun. It was much more enjoyable playing through those scenarios. Although the games designer in me did immediately look at the Spider Queen killing scenario and just think, well, I can just run around. The Spider Queen can just go and hide for the entire game. I don't know why the Spider Queen would engage, but anyway, not the point. And then the only other game I played was we set out to play another session of the RPG that I'm setting in a place called Witchhampton, which is the potential setting for a slightly expanded, narrative-driven Perilous Tales. Actually, which was good because then I had to revise the setting and look across all of the notes and sort of bone up on where we'd got to. Actually, what happened was we ended up not playing a game, but chewing on the game and chewing on the setting and just having a big old natter and a brainstorm for like 3 hours. So that was brilliant. It's awesome when friends will give you their time and creativity to just chat through some fun fantasy stuff. So that was games played. Okay, so what are my goals for the next couple of weeks? Well, I need to keep motoring on the textbook, so I need to get at least 3 more chapters of that done over the next couple of weeks, probably more like 5 if I can get my ass in gear. I'd like to upload another video each week to keep the pace up. This will be the one for this week, and I will no doubt do a kind of demo video or a chat about one of the games that I'm working on in the other week. And because I didn't finish it the last couple of weeks, I do need to finish the outstanding games design on Pacific Command. I've got to finish those last scenarios, which mostly at this point is writing up notes and thinking about it and tinkering with it, and then it needs to go into playtesting. So in terms of some other stuff that I'll likely get up to over the next couple of weeks, but I'm not committing to anything, I've got some proposals that I might write to get out to publishers, so that's some work. I quite like writing proposals because it focuses my mind on why the game might be exciting from a sort of sales perspective. It like forces me to distill it down into what is cool about this game. I'm going to playtest some Incunabula, maybe even this evening. I'm going to playtest some Junk Space because I'm really enjoying pushing that around on the table. I've got some catch-ups with some friends around the industry, which I'm really looking forward to, and I will try and release another prototype to itch. I've got a couple of games that are literally in the midst of writing a V2 draft rulebook at the moment, so there's a couple of potential options there, but who knows? I'm really, really relaxed and feeling extremely creative. Ideas are pouring out at the moment, and it's Monday afternoon as I talk now, and I woke up this morning just absolutely filled to the brim with energy and ideas for so many of the projects that I want to work on. I'm being a little bit cautious about long-term commitments right now. I'm mindful that I want to create a roadmap for myself and to sort of help people understand where and what I'm planning to do. But the good thing is I don't have to do anything right now. I've got a couple of deadlines coming up for books that I need to focus on anyway. And it's giving me some chance to really just go wide at the moment and write a lot of prototypes, experiment with a lot of ideas, get stuff out of my head onto the table, onto paper. And I think by doing that and by sharing it with you, I hope to both for myself figure out what I'm most excited about and what I think is most likely to be a successful and exciting game, and also to get some feedback from you as you watch the kind of things that I'm working on. I think over the coming months, I'm going to need to sharpen up about what the first big game project that I'll do is going to be. I'll talk a little bit more about what I plan to do on Kickstarter, the kind of product that I have in my mind for what I want to put in people's hands. But I think right now, I'm really happy just spewing games out and helping myself get through a period where I've got specific deadlines and a lot of pent up, I guess, creative, frustration of not being able to do things. And now I have got time to do things. So I'm just going to do things. And hopefully it'll be fun to watch along. Well, thank you so much. If you would like to support what I'm doing and would like to see me do it for a while longer, then you can head on over to patreon.com/PlanetSmasherGames and you can consider chipping in to buy me a cup of coffee. I probably need a hot drink in here. It's been a pleasure chatting to you, and I will see you in the next video. Until then, bye-bye. I wonder if having a clipboard is my thing. Do games designers have clipboards?